All right, let's dive into the history of one of the most infamous books in all of fiction. But we're going to do this with a little twist. We're going to treat its entire terrifying story as if it were 100% real. We're about to trace the history of a book that was, quite literally, never meant for human eyes. So think about this for a second. When we picture dangerous artifacts, we're probably thinking of, a cursed sword or some ancient mystical weapon. But what if the single most dangerous, most reality-bending thing in all of history was just a book? Just ink and paper? So let's start at the beginning. The book we all know today as the Necronomicon, well, that wasn't its original name, not even close. It started its life with a title that was much, much older and, frankly, a whole lot creepier. Its first title was in Arabic, Azif. And this wasn't just some poetic name, it was a description. It literally refers to that sound insects make in the dead of night, that chirping and buzzing that back then people believed was actually the sound of demons howling. So right from the very beginning, the title itself was a warning. The pages within contained voices from a very, very dark place. Now, a book this twisted could only be written by a certain kind of person, and that brings us to the author, a man who earned himself the nickname the Mad Poet. The man's name was Abdul Alhazred. According to the lore we're following, he was a real person, a poet living in Yemen around 700 AD. But he wasn't writing love poems or songs. No, his fame, or maybe we should call it infamy, came from his deep, dark obsession with forbidden knowledge. And this guy's search for knowledge was extreme. I mean, he walked through the ruins of Babylon, he went deep into the hidden tombs beneath Memphis, and then he did something absolutely unthinkable. He spent an entire decade completely alone in the massive southern desert of Arabia, a place the ancients just called the empty space. And we're not talking about some relaxing desert retreat. This place was known as the Crimson Desert, and it was said to be crawling with evil spirits and actual literal monsters. And it was out there, in that desolate, terrifying landscape, that Alhazred supposedly found his inspiration. Or maybe he found his instructions. So what did he find out there? Well, the things he claimed were unsettling, to say the least. He said he found the mythical Aram, the lost city of pillars. He bragged about discovering secrets from a civilization that existed long before humans ever walked the earth, and he started worshipping these bizarre ancient beings he called Yog-Sothoth and Cthulhu. His ending was just as wild as his life. The story goes that in the year 738 AD, in Damascus, his luck finally ran out. A 12th century biographer wrote that right in the middle of a crowded marketplace, Alhazred was grabbed by an invisible monster and was devoured horribly, right there in front of a huge crowd of people who were just frozen with terror. So, with its author gone in the most gruesome way possible, the book he created, the Al-Azif, began its own cursed journey through time. A journey of translations, suppression, and pure terror. The book's reputation for being dangerous spread like wildfire. It was written around 730 AD. By 950, it had been secretly translated into Greek, and that's when it got its famous title, the Necronomicon. Just 100 years later, the church was already trying to burn every copy they could find. But the knowledge was too tempting. A Latin translation popped up in 1228, which almost immediately caused Pope Gregory IX to ban all known versions of the book. And all of these translations and book burnings had a huge side effect. By the 13th century, the original Arabic text, the Al-Azif itself, the words straight from Alhazred's mind, was lost. Gone forever. All that was left were translations of translations. But lost is a strong word, isn't it? Even after centuries of people trying to stamp it out, the whispers never stopped. Whispers about a few surviving copies, locked away in the most secure places on Earth. For example, the famous Dr. John Dee, the court magician for Queen Elizabeth I, he supposedly tried to create an English translation, but it was never finished, it was never printed, and today all that's left are a few scattered, incomplete fragments. Just another dead end. But what about whole, complete copies? Well, according to the lore, a few of the Latin versions are accounted for. The British Museum supposedly has one, under lock and key, the Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris, the Widener Library at Harvard, and of course the legendary Miskatonic University in Arkham. All are rumored to have a copy buried deep in their collections.
And then, beyond the official locations, you've got the rumors. There's talk of a 15th century copy sitting in some super rich American's private collection. And there's a story about a Greek version that belonged to the Pickman family of Salem, right up until the artist, R.U. Pickman, and the book itself just vanished into thin air in 1926.
So this all leads to the big question, right? Why? Why all the secrecy? Why the book burnings, the bans, the locked vaults? What is the real price of the knowledge hidden inside this book? The simple fact is, the most powerful groups in the world, we're talking governments, every major religion, you name it, they are all united on this one single thing. They all agree that the Necronomicon has to stay hidden, and they are absolutely ruthless about making sure it does. And the reason why is put in the simplest, most chilling way you can imagine. The lore doesn't spin some long, complicated tale about cosmic monsters. It just gives one stark, simple warning. Reading leads to terrible consequences. That's it. So, that's where we're left. We've traced this history of pure madness, of forbidden secrets, and of a really, really gruesome death. We've seen this book travel through centuries, leaving a trail of destruction behind it. Which leads me to one final question. If a copy of this book, the most dangerous object in history, somehow fell into your hands, would you open it?